So when to apply for forgiveness? So at this point, many banks are not ready. I was just talking to a colleague. They said that the SBA's received about 100,000 applications at this point, and in some cases they're turning them back. Now recall back to the beginning of the presentation, we talked about how many loans are actually happening here. When you're talking about into the millions, 9 million loans that they're having to deal with compared to a normal 50 to 60,000 in a full year, and they're dealing with 9 million loans in basically 6 months. So that is very taxing for the organization. I don't think they can hire fast enough to be able to handle it all. And that's why they're looking at some of the rules to streamline this, because the average loan is somewhere around $100,000. So they're looking at changing the automatic deductibility to $150,000 or less, and that'll eliminate a good chunk of those loans from having to be reviewed. So I think it'd be a very simplified, streamlined forgiveness process where you basically check a couple of boxes and it kind of sails through. And the banks are really behind that as well, because it's going to be quite taxing for them. Many of them have outsourced the calculation of forgiveness and the verification of forgiveness to outsourcers because they don't have the manpower to actually be able to process those forgiveness applications because they've done so many in so many cases. You have 10 months to file for forgiveness from the end of the covered period. Once you have filed in that 10-month period, banks have 60 days to submit to the SBA, and the SBA has 90 days to approve it. So if you do not file by the end of 10 months, then you will automatically have to start making payments. But essentially, you kind of wait until you hear back from the SBA before you have to start paying your loan back. So that can be advantageous if you want to wait a little while, save up a little bit of money if you know that you're not going to be completely forgiven. So that can be advantageous to wait, kind of drag that out a little bit. So the last point on this slide really talks about selling or closing, and there is a lot of unclarity around whether you're going to be able to sell your business or close it. The only time that you would want to move forward with moving towards forgiveness is if you want to close or you want to sell. You're going to want to get your application in for forgiveness, I think, pretty rapidly, because if it does take the bank 60 days to process that submission, it takes the SBA 90 days to approve it. You could be out as far as 5 months before you could be able to close or sell your business. So if you spent over 100% on payroll and you believe your loan's going to be 100% forgiven, then you could be okay to move forward with, to apply for forgiveness. At this point, we're kind of at the wait and see portion because the rules have been changing. So we want to make sure that we're really clear on what the forgiveness rules are completely prior to doing a whole bunch of loan forgiveness applications.